This is pretty much the entirety of my Orc Army infantry section that's actually legal to play in games. And today, we're going to look at it. Welcome back to the Red Ones Go Fast. Old Big Mek here, and that's right, indeed, in this episode, we are looking at the army that's already made. The old army. We're going back to look at it again. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's get into it! Yes, sorry for the confusion here. It's kind of a hard concept to explain, so let me just try my best. When I did the Tacoma Open last month, I had brought some of my army with me in case I was going to do any pickup games or anything. Of course, I went for the hobby challenge and all that. If you haven't seen any of those videos, I'll put a link up there. They're totally worth checking out. I got a whole playlist on the road to the Tacoma Open and then all the fun that I had there. But the long and the short of it is, I didn't actually play any pickup games with my army, but when I got back, my army was a disaster. It had been absolutely everywhere. I had some of it pulled out for painting projects. I had some of it pulled out for playing. I had some units like, on display in the shelves and stuff. It's just kind of everywhere. And then we had our big water leak here at the house that, just caused all sorts of mayhem, and I wasn't able to do any hobbying. Well, one of the things that I was able to do that I talked about in that video is gather all my army back up and put it all back together, and it got me really realizing something. And that's what we're going to talk about this one. So let's go over to the army and I'll show you what I'm on about. So this is more or less the infantry portion of my Orc army that can actually play the game. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I have a lot more Orcs than that on foot that are infantry models, but they're not actually, not even like necessarily legal, but like they're just not part of the army, right? I've got a 3D printed Orc band that is for display only. I've got a bunch of the, the collector minis, the Red Gabo on Bouncer, Degaff Rocker, all that stuff. And yeah, you can use them in your army. You can proxy them. I have often used the Red Gabos as my knob with Wog Banner. But like even that unit doesn't exist anymore. So all of those kind of like funky things and special things, they all now live in the case. In fact, here are most of them that I was just talking about. There is the Orc Band, which you can see has some grots from Age of Sigmar and / Underworlds, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, anything that plays an instrument goes up here, along with Degaff Rocker. And then, of course, the Red Gabo on Bouncer. I even put my old looted tank in here because, well, that thing's been gone forever. And yeah, I've got my thing from the Tacoma Open, my diorama that I made there, in here as well. In fact, also in here is my Beastnag army build that I do need to get back to, but that is another video. So yeah, that has left me with just the Orcs that I actually use to play games. They're not any of the display minis, they're not any of the special or extras or whatever that don't really have a place in the current rules that is easy or whatever. Like those ones are just easier to live there. And as you see, like it's not even just the actual infantry characters. There's also all of the vehicles as well. In fact, up on the shelf at the terrain is the now dead Mech Boy workshop, which you can just use as terrain, and my grot tanks. So yeah, anyways, what I have now then is just the Orcs on foot that can be used in the game, and those are all of my ones that are completely painted with a little asterisk. And this is that asterisk. I've been working on this project for a while. These are my regular knobs, and one thing that I had done back in the day that I didn't really agree with these days is my knobs didn't have any boss pulls on them, and I have been going back through my army and getting all of my knobs and adding boss pulls back to their backs so that you could tell the knobs more easily. I don't know why I didn't do this back in the day. But it was definitely something that I wanted to correct. So I have been doing that as well as building out my knob squads. These are the standalone knobs, not the ones in the infantry squad. So I have 10 full here with the power claws, and I have 10 with the big choppas, giving me 2 full squads of knobs. I've got a couple extras still here that I'm working on, including Stumpy here, who had a run-in with not a very good Mad Doc slash Big Mek, who made his arm short. That, yeah, he just turned into a meme guy that looks kind of funny. But yeah, I do have some more to make, another squad worth. But yeah, I'm definitely still working on these guys. And I have other various infantry products in, different stages of completion, whether it's, being built or being undercoated, or maybe older models that have been painted but, need a bunch of repair work, because they are from back when I was first into 40K in that 2nd to 5th edition era. But yeah, those are kind of like all the extraneous. So yeah, what is on this board is what is built, painted, based, completed, ready to go, that all fits in the rulebook today. And as you see, it's pretty decent. We've got a squad of Grots here with a Runt Herder, a Pain Boy, right? Yeah, Pain Boy, a War Boss, a Big Mek with Shock Attack Gun, a couple of regular mechs, 1 knob, Gazgul Thraka with Makari, our Mega Armor War Boss leading 3 Mega Armor knobs, our Big Mek in Mega Armor leading 3 more Mega knobs, and then 4 boy squads, 3 of which with Sluggas and Choppas, 1 with Shootas, and then way over there in the corner is the Beast Boss. Now, a big reason to set them up like this is to actually get a feel for what they look like as an army. Does it look together? Does it look cohesive? One thing you notice is Gaz here is pretty black, and this squad is pretty red, and everybody else is pretty brown. There's a little bit of red in this squad. This squad's kind of got a little bit of silver. But yeah, they're just kind of all mishmashy, which is okay because they're orcs. The one thing that you do see throughout my army is this signature orange color. It's a Tamiya orange that I use specifically because it is such a unique color, and it is the accent on all of my orc models. It's what ties my various disparate clans together into one whole. I even have the orange on Gazgul here, on his banner and his teeth, and yeah, the engine on his back, to tie him into the army as well. So this is my way of kind of having my own, army, squad, whatever, and not have to buy into the orc clan. So I don't have yellow Bad Moon guys. I don't have red Evil Suns guys. I don't have, blue Death Skulls everywhere. What I've got is a force that I like, that is the colors that I like, with this orange color tying everybody in. So it doesn't matter if one guy is in black armor and one guy is in red armor. I may even do a squad in blue armor or yellow armor or whatever. It's that orange accent color that ties everybody in. And so I really like how that looks. And so the big thing is make sure each squad has that orange accent. You can see the Grots here really don't. They might have like a wrist brace or something like that, or a little dot on their helmet. But yeah, they don't have much. The Runt Herd, however, being an actual orc, has a lot more orange. And that's basically a theme that you see throughout the army. The more important the orc, like the War Boss here, the more orange accents you see. The Big Mek here, especially in the Mega Armor, has a bunch. And that's because the orange I tend to put on the mechanical bits, because the overarching story of my orcs is that this particular WOG has a Big Mek that is building all their buggies and stuff, and they are kind of getting a whole bunch of bands together to go wage amazing war. And it is like, super typical orc background, but that's the way I do it, is with that orange getup. But yeah, you can see here that one of the issues I have is there is a difference in style between my earliest squads and my latest ones. And so that's kind of where the army starts to fall apart. You can see I use different skin tones for all of the orcs on purpose. It makes them look, a lot more realistic as far as like as an army as a whole, they're not all going to have the same skin color. So that makes it nice. My oldest squad here is not like that. All of these guys are the same skin color, and that is because this particular squad I built and painted a million billion years ago, and when I got back into the hobby in late 2018, I took one of my Boyz squads and I updated them and kind of painted on them. And yeah, back in the day, they were all the same skin colors. So I do kind of want to mix these guys up a little bit. But what I'm going to do is actually mix this squad up into the other squads. So basically, take a dark colored guy from there, light colored guy from there, so on and so forth, until my squads are mixed up nice. The problem being, if you look at these newer squads, they've got blood and whatnot on their weapons and some heavier weathering than these earlier guys do, who are pretty clean. So I do need to paint these guys up to match. Another issue, as you see with this Mega Knob, is I do have some breakage from moving the models about or getting knocked about, so I do need to do some repair work. Now, luckily, I have been able to find all of the broken or missing pieces, or I found bits in my bits collection that will work. So getting them repaired isn't that big a deal. Mixing up the squads even isn't really that big of a deal, and doing some touch-up work to them. In fact, I'm going to do a video where I actually sit down at the paint desk and do that paint work, you know, as soon as I get it cleared off, to get this army where I'm happy with it again as an army as a whole, looking cohesive. And really, that's the big takeaway with this. It's okay to set up your whole army and see if anything looks out of place. You don't have to make everything look identical. You don't have to make all of your painting to the same level. It's okay to have variety and variation throughout the army. What you want to do is see if anything really sticks out like a sore thumb. And if it does, it's okay to go back to it and touch it up. In fact, this original squad has been touched up numerous times. Like, again, it was originally built and painted way back in the early 2000s, got knocked around a whole bunch, did a couple of cross-country moves, and then got put back together, and this new paint scheme with the orange came up with, and that's where they have been. They then got completely debased and put onto 32 millimeters when that change happened, so they've been around the block. But that being said, they hold up, honestly, just fine. You look at the oldest knob with a paint job that's been not touched with the newest knob, and really there's not a lot of difference. Obviously the sculpt is way newer on this one and it has more detail, but the main issues are the blood on the claw versus not having any blood on the big choppa, and things like the weathering on the skull being good on that one and nothing on that one. So just doing a little bit of touch up to this guy with a little bit of the blood, a little bit of the different dirt and rusts, and you know, aging on the skull, and he's gonna fit right in just fine. And then when you step back and you take the look at the whole army, everything is gonna look cohesive. You're not gonna have these guys that are kind of standing out as being a little monochromatic and a little you know, less detailed than everything else, or a little less weathered than everything else. And then once I've completed that with the infantry, which again really isn't going to take long, it's basically one squad of 10 orcs is all that needs paint touch up, because everything else I have already done this to, and a couple of repairs. They're all going to be good to go. They're all going to go back in their bins, and then we get to take out the orc vehicles and do the same thing. Now, again, not a whole lot of variation in it, but the first couple of orc vehicles that I painted are definitely a little bit different of a red color, a little bit glossier, which is okay. There's definitely going to be variations in paint colors and finishes, especially when it comes to orcs. But the big thing is they aren't nearly as weathered. I definitely went deeper and deeper into the weathering hole the more that I worked on vehicles. And so my first couple of vehicles are just a little too showroom. And so, yeah, once I get the infantry done, I'll break out the vehicles. I'll do the same thing, make sure they all match, and then my whole army will be up to snuff and really in great shape for 10th edition. And once all of that is done, I can finally finish attacking those knobs and get those 2 knob squads finished and knocked out, add them to the collection, and then we'll be ready to start on our next project. Now, obviously, we all know that we are a scant 5 weeks away from Orktober. So it's been a little hard that I've got all these great ideas bouncing around in my head, and I've even started filming on some of them. But I have to save them for Orktober. So I'm really trying to figure out what I can do next month for projects, for videos that are going to keep people engaged, that aren't going to cut into needing to do 31 videos in 31 days. So definitely gonna have some fun with that one. If you want to be involved with Orktober, by the way, shoot me a message, over on Discord. Our server's free, it's down in the links, or Patreon, or even here in the comments, and get with me. I've already got 3 people signed up and a couple of companies that are interested. I want to work with everybody. I don't care how small or big you are. None of it is sponsored. I just want to work with people. I want to do awesome collabs for Orktober. So if you have any kind of content creation, whether it's 2D art, 3D stuff, your own YouTube channel, anything at all like that, if you are in the orc space at all and you want to be part of the Great Wog in Orktober, then definitely get with old Big Mek and let's make it happen. Alright, that's been enough for this video. I gotta get to painting these guys. If you want to see that video, make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss it, and we'll catch you in the next one. Until then, Wog on!